Who do you see? We live in a world that is just filled with images. Everyone's sharing images of themselves on selfies, on Instagram. People employ personal stylists. Everything is curated and styled to portray just the right look. People share only what they want to be shared, to show only what they want to show. Who do we see? Do we see the real person or just a part of them? Do we see the image they just want us to see? Or do we see more of who they really are? What about Jesus? Who do we see? When we think about him, when we see pictures of him and images of him, who do we see? I grew up with Sunday school pictures of this wonderful, very white Timotei advert hair with wonderful shiny robes, and his feet were wonderfully clean, even though he only had sandals on in a dusty environment. He was meek and mild and lovely and gentle and compassionate, and was never going to be the kind of person who would challenge you or the world around you. Who do you see? When you think of Jesus, who do you see? There is this modern myth that the idea that Jesus was God was something that was invented by Christians several hundred years after Jesus' ministry. There was a much later thing trying to superimpose these ideas on this idea and person of Jesus. But now what we're going to see here in this beautiful poem, a poem either written by Paul or a poem written at the same time that Paul has borrowed and used, we're going to see some amazing statements written within the lifetime of the very eyewitnesses of Jesus' ministry. It's an amazing, clear poem. It's really clear who Paul and all those around thought who Jesus was. 5 short verses that has taken generations of people to fill books trying to explain. 5 short verses stating who Jesus is. Now, if you don't mind me just using some theological terms just for a moment, they describe his supremacy over all creation and over the new creation, his sufficiency in who he is and what he has done. Now, you might be sitting there for a moment just saying, hang on, Jonathan, could you just please try and talk in English? Because I'm not sure we understood what you just said. So, okay, let's try and explore this in plain, clear English. These baby Christians here in the city of Colossae, they had been inundated with new ideas and philosophies, much of it about trying to discover true wisdom. And they were now confused over what they should be thinking, what they should be saying, what they should be doing. Was Jesus an angel? Was Jesus just a good teacher? Was following Jesus enough? Or did they need some other deep truth to find enlightenment and God in another way? Paul answers this really simply. He says, the Son, that is Jesus, is the image of the invisible God. This is what God looks like. He looks like Jesus. So often when you put an image in a search for on Google for what does God look like, you get the image from the Sistine Chapel of a big old man with a beard leaning down to touch Adam. God looks like Jesus. Jesus' own words in John 10 verse 30 says, I and the Father are one. John 14:9, again, Jesus states in his own words, whoever has seen me has seen the Father. Even Jesus claimed to be God. Paul is saying to these new Christians, don't be afraid. What you were taught, the person you experienced when you came to Christ is real. It is true. It is right. Don't worry about what others are saying. And what's more, I'm going to tell you why it is right, why it is that Jesus is the image of, is God. Then he moves on to the next group of very beautiful verses, writing about who Jesus is in the world around us. It says, he is the firstborn over all creation, for in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Jesus is supreme. That means Jesus is absolute. He is foremost. He is the highest. He is incomparable. He is matchless. He's predominant. He's preeminent. He is sovereign. He's unequaled and unparalleled in all the created world. That's everything we can see, everything we can touch, everything we can smell, anything we can explore. He is preeminent. He is number one in that. Not just that, he was the one who made it for himself. Think about that for a moment. Everything in the created world was made through and by Jesus for himself. You might need to just pause the video and lie down for a little while to try and let that sink in. Everything was made by him, through him, and for him. It's quite mind-blowing. Nothing else compares or comes close to him in all creation. But it doesn't just end there. He says he is the body, the head of the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have supremacy. See, he was supreme over the old creation of everything we knew and known that was made at the beginning of the world. And now he is supreme over the new creation. That's the new world order that comes into existence through the cross and the resurrection of Jesus. Everything was made by him, through him, and for him. And everything that is and is to come is made by him, through him, and for him. Everything that is and was made by him and for him and through him. Everything that is and will be, the new heavens and the new earth, the glory we will live in the future, was made by, through, and for him. Who do you see when you think of Jesus? Here's what Paul's saying: have no fear. Who you were taught to believe in, over what you were taught. This is Jesus. He is amazing. He is the Son of God. He is the God you were told about, and he is the God you have experienced. But what about wisdom? What about gaining other knowledge to find peace and fulfillment, or finding a way now to God? Now we come to the most amazing statement about sufficiency. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile himself to things, whether things on earth or things in heaven. One of the things that we love to do as a family is to go to one of the local markets where they have most amazing stalls that sell most wonderful homemade Indian food. Now, when my family has all of my money to go buy food, I can't buy anything else because they've had all of my money. If they have all that I have, I can't do anything else because I don't have anything else. If God poured all of his fullness into Jesus, is there anything else left over to pour into some other way to get to him? If everything that is and is in God is in Jesus, is he able, would he need to pour out more of himself into something or someone else to make a visible image of himself? Do you understand? If God pours everything that he has into Jesus, why would he pour anything else into something or someone else to be his image? He's done it once and done it for all time. Jesus is all we need. Jesus is sufficient, the full and complete way to know God. And the sufficiency and the complete way for everything in creation and in the new creation to be reconciled and be made right, to be given peace and a new relationship with God. Wow. You could almost preach and talk about this for years. Who Jesus is enough. And what he did is enough. We read on that last few lines. By making peace through his blood shed on the cross. When Jesus died, as we read in the wonderful book of Romans, everything I have ever done was washed away by his blood, but poured out of him as he was dying and wounded on the cross. And then everything I am, so everything I've done was washed by the blood of Jesus. Everything I am died with him on the cross. So when Jesus rose from the dead, so I have a new life and a new beginning and a new identity. And now in God's eyes, not only a fresh beginning and a fresh start, but he sees me as amazing and clean and pure and loved parts of his family. Paul is saying you don't need any special wisdom. You don't need anything else. Jesus is God. He is supreme, over and above all. He is sufficient, fully able to do what we need to be able to have peace with God in a way like nobody else can. Who do we see when we see Jesus? Is he supreme? Is he sufficient? Is the Jesus we think about and know about, is he all we need? Is he all we could ever want? Is he the source of life and hope and peace? Jesus came from God as God to show us God's love and mercy. That by his death, They give us hope. There is no one like Jesus. There will be no one like Jesus. He is the one. By, through, and because we have life, and we can have hope and peace and life and joy and a new beginning. Who do you see? Who do you see when you think about Jesus?